The all-new 102.7.
You are constantly writing, constantly creating. Where do you find yourself most coming up with your songs?
In the car.
Do you drive a lot?
I do. I drive. I live in Westchester, so I drive everywhere. I just find that when I'm in the car, if I don't listen to the radio, I become my own radio, and then so I just listen to melodies in my head. And like I've had times where I've gone somewhere, and then I keep driving because I have this melody in my head, and I'll just keep driving until I figure it out, and then I'll run home and go straight to the studio and finish it out.
I was wondering, like, you're driving, but you can't really write it down. Do you talk to the phone and say?
Well, sometimes, like, if I don't think I'm gonna get right back, sometimes I want to flush it out. Like when I lived in the city, like I would be in Soho. For the whole second Matchbox record, I would just leave my apartment and go walk for like 6 hours a day and just walk around everywhere around Manhattan because there's a rhythm that's in the city. And it's there, and you can hear it kind of clicking.
You're an energy guy.
Yeah. I really am. Everything comes from that, and so like there's songs like Bent just kind of came from like listening to the city kind of talk to you as you're going through. Like
so Bent's
I know it sounds
Soho.
like some weird hippie shit, but it works for me. So I try and get away from everything for a minute and just hear that melody and then try and preserve it in my head.
I remember stories that you would just hop on the subway and go places. And can you still do that, or do you get recognized everywhere you go?
It's funny, in Manhattan I'm not famous. Nobody's famous in Manhattan.
I know, right? But like, I think I know you.
And where I live, everybody is more rich and famous than I am, so it's a good place to be.
So you feel like you fit right in.
Yeah. Every time, if I become a bigger fish, I move to a bigger pond.
That's so funny. We were standing backstage and you were getting texts from Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
And like,
oh my God, it wouldn't stop.
I know, it's so funny.
You know, we're both like we're both putting out a record right now. Like first off, Carlos Santana has a record coming out that's it's not a pop record. It is straight up Afro-Cuban badass, like just fuck you in the ear kind of a record that's like, and I've heard most of it. It's unbelievable. And so we're both like on this journey together where we're both putting out a record. We're both excited about it for different reasons. And he's been writing me about, helping me kind of realize, Rob, don't worry about this. Worry about this. Don't do this. Mm-hmm. Do this. Don't think about this. Think about this. And,
so he's like your Zen friend that gets you.
Yeah, like I said, we were talking backstage. Like him and Jason Mraz are the two most Zen people on the face of the earth. Like I know it seems like they're two different entities, but the truth is, two of them are just very Zen cats that like. They kind of make you feel calm and they make you understand that everything's going to be okay.
I love that. And you know who else does that is your wife, Marisol. I'm a little obsessed with Marisol. She's my hero. And we were talking a little bit backstage. She keeps you totally
in check.
Where you need to be. Well, I think you guys have fun too.
I mean, she's a Puerto Rican from Queens. She keeps me in check. Like, yeah, I mean, she's my best friend in the world. And so we have every relationship that you can have through that. We have a best friend relationship. We have a husband-wife relationship. We have like this relationship of just two kids that feel like we've known each other since we were like in our mid-20s, which is, I hate to say it if you're in your mid-20s, you're kids. Like,
and it goes like that.
And appreciate that. But like we were kids, and then we got to do things together that nobody gets to do, and we got to do them all over the world in a grand scale, and that's how that was the landscape of our courtship, was like this weird kind of dance across the world.
I'm always inspired by your relationship, and you told this story that I think you have to tell everybody. You love Mick Jagger so much.
Well, yeah.
Right? Who doesn't love Mick, right?
Because he's Mick Jagger.
I know, I die when I think of him. So please tell the story why you couldn't write with him or meet with him the first time, because this is a story about love like I don't think I've ever seen. You have to tell it.
I think it's also a very practical story. I was on the road for 3.5 years with that first Matchbox record. Then I went straight into Smooth Thing happened, and there was a lot of stuff that went on with like a lot of travel, a lot of doing a lot of promo, and then I made a deal with my wife that for the next 3 weeks that I had off, no matter what happened in the world, I'm staying home for those 3 weeks. Day one, I get a call from Mick Jagger. And here's the thing. I've never met Mick Jagger. he has my information. That's the kind of guy Mick Jagger is. And he reached out and said, hey, come to London. I'm working on some stuff. Come out to my studio and we're going to hang out for a week. And I said, I can't. It's like I made a really big promise. And I even remember the conversation with my wife was, I don't care if Bono calls. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. And then
Now,
basically
Mick Jagger is Bono adjacent.
I know. They're right there.
Yeah. So I like with tears in my eyes said no. Like I wasn't cavalier about this. I was like, oh my God, this is stupid. And I didn't do it. And then luckily, like a month later, he came to New York and then asked me. But this time...
Oh, you didn't know that at the time you said
I had no
that.
idea. But then, and I'm not sure if this is something you have to do every time, but I think it might have been because of what happened. He called me up and he wanted to work, but I couldn't work with him. He had to vet me first. So I had to go to his he has a place, I'm not going to say where it's at, but he has a place here. And I had to go to his place and sit with him and listen to some music and have tea, and he had to decide whether he wanted to work with me or not. Which was like, if you've ever thought about a job interview, this is like the worst fucking job interview ever. Because I can't sleep thinking about going there. And I walk in the room and I'm just excited to be there, and all I want to do is just be like, oh my God, and I love this, and I love this, and I love this, and I love, and I can't do any of those things. I gotta be like, what's up, man?
It's like cuts everything
Oh,
off,
it was,
right?
yeah, it was killing me. Like, if I ever, it's like with the Carlos thing, man. There are moments where you realize there's a bigger bear behind you all the time. Like, no matter how you think you've done, no matter what you think you've done, and even if you become what I call the 2%, right? Everything that me, Matchbox, we've ever done is like 2% of the universe probably has gotten to do what we've gotten to do. We've been that lucky. Then there's the 1%. Carlos, Mick, Bono, who still hasn't called me.
What's his problem? Well, you know,
Yeah.
he fell off his bike. He's not right. That's what it is. That's what it is.
I think he's intimidated.
I think he is too. I mean, what is he going to do when you're standing next to him? Well, we love you so much, and so many of your fans tonight had questions, so I don't want to blow them off. Tara, Jersey Golden, where are you, Tara? She wants to know. I know you know.
I know
from
Tara.
social. She wants to know who you want to collab with, an up and coming artist. You know, somebody that's not really at the tip of your tongue.
I don't know, but I just heard that new Lizzo record. I kind of want to do something with her. Yeah. Yeah.
I have no idea who that is, but anyway. And you did like Shade. I
Oh,
know
you will. By the way, you will. You give it 1 week, you're going to start hearing Lizzo all over you're not going to get rid of it. That is the song of the summer, Juice.
So now you can make Lizzo's life when Rob Thomas calls them.
No, I think
Am I
I think
right?
she knows exactly who she is.
I know it's hard to pick a baby off the new album, but what song do you find yourself going back to over and over and over? Like, just it's at the top of your head. You
For
find
different
you love
reasons.
it.
One is I love it just because me and my son wrote it together. And I love the way that me and Butch, I love what kind of came out of that. But song-wise, everything kind of centered around Funny. There's a song called Funny, and Funny was like the one song that everything gravitated out. Like if you have one song that you start, like I'm gonna make a record, and you start with this, and then everything moved out from that song.
Does your son play on the album too?
No, he doesn't play on the record. No, because he's an amateur. Sorry, Mason. I'm
You're
just
gonna pay
kidding.
for therapy for that one for a little while, I think.
No. He doesn't. He has writing credit. He's fine. He didn't play on it. But just because he wasn't there, if he was, we would have scooped him up to play. Yeah.
When you see his band play and you're like standing back in the dark, or I don't know, maybe you're right there like the helicopter parent, but how does that feel?
It's kind of amazing because his band is good. Like they're better than I ever was at his age, if that makes sense. Like
Wow.
they're in Berklee College of Music. They're like players. Like they're really good. Like anything that he needs to know, I don't think I can tell him. So like you say helicopter parent, it's funny, I use that a lot. Like I don't helicopter around him. I'm available for any questions he has, but I never give him unsolicited advice because I want him to make the same decisions I made and the same mistakes I made. Like everything that I thought was a mistake sometimes turned around to turn into like an avenue that got me somewhere that I never thought that I would be.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, some of them were actually just fucking mistakes, by the way. The truth, like they were just horrible ideas that I did, and you soak those up and you make them a part of you. But I want him to do that too.
So you're not the dad that like goes to the dorm room and jams with his friends? I mean,
Oh, no, I'm not saying I haven't done that.
Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to know. Like, hey, my dad's here. He wants to play guitar with us.
Yeah. Oh no, God, that would be the worst ever. Yeah.
You're like Rob Thomas.
Yeah,
Come on.
no. I'm the dad that just sits in the corner and looks sad until they go, okay, let him play. And I'm like,
Thanks, guys. All right. Johnny Minch is on the Karen Carson in the Morning Show. Everybody.
What's up? Oh, I don't have a beer to cheers you.
We are big Rob Thomas fans, and he has an obsessive question.
We're like Lennon and McCartney right now on this mic. Hey,
you really are.
Give me a harmony, Karen.
No.
That was an octave.
Yeah, you're
Don't embarrass me.
you're like Lennon McCartney without the harmonies.
Right, exactly. So I'm a huge fan of the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know if you guys saw Rob on that show. So what was it like turning on the acting hat for you? Like, because you've done some acting.
First of all, I'm a horrible actor. Here's my acting, right? It's 30 or 40 videos. It consists of me,
Okay.
looking like there's something in the distance that I'm not sure about.
Give us a sample. Oh, yeah. You guys getting this?
That is the best.
I'm
look
either
that you
doing
have.
that or I'm walking. A lot of walking in videos. And in the 90s, it wasn't just me. All of us had a problem with our arm because in the 90s, we all went like this.
We're never going to unsee that again.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But that aside, I was such a fan of that show that when Matchbox was playing Staples Center, we reached out to their management and said, we fucking love you. Come to our show. They showed up with beer like before sound check. Like they showed up early. And we hung out the whole night. And by the end of it, we were like, you're going to be on the show. And I was like, I'm on the show.
And you co-starred with Sinbad in that
Sinbad.
episode. So is he a buddy now?
Every time I see Sinbad, there's a moment. But a few years back, my son is walking through his college campus and he sees Sinbad walking. And he comes up to him, and my son met him when he was like 10. And he comes over to him and he's like, hey man, listen, I don't know if you remember me. He's like, my dad is Rob Thomas. And he goes, take a picture. And they took a selfie and then he goes, now tell your dad he's still my bitch.
Amazing.
Kate from New Jersey, tell us more about your foundation, Rob, if you can, before you go back.
I mean, a lot of you guys know Sidewalk Angels. We do a lot of work to raise funds for organizations that we're starting to get off the ground, and now the ones that have gotten off the ground, we still continue to try and support them. We work with people like Sato's Project. We work with people like Pets Alive. We work with people that are doing rescues to try and get, to build more no-kill shelters around the country, but also then to try and get these animals that we rescue over to no-kill shelters. If you guys want to know what we're doing, please check out sidewalkangelsfoundation.org and come be a part of it. And if you don't wind up giving money to Sidewalk Angels, then just find one of those organizations and give money to them because we're all going to the same place. We all have the same goal, so please.
The all-new 102.7.